Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Never worry.
Today, somebody came to the king and told me, "Boyam asirin asir livnei dan." It's what's special about this process. Boyam asirin Yom Kippur. What's livnei dan? Dan is Yom Kippur is Dan is Yom.
Oh, the name.
And what
Nice.
the pasuk? Nothing down. And the name also is.
Shen, drush.
Yeah.
Okay.
His mother, Yotzei.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Sorry we're late. You know, all the Yitzhar shakes are the best of Zachen. We did last year and the year before a little bit of, and it's nice to finish off a beer from the Rebbe. It's very repetitive. There's the only thing in the Torah that's mamish. It's so repetitive. 12 times we tell over. Just
change the name.
Yeah, just change the name. You could say cut and paste, cut, paste, cut, paste, cut, paste. The same thing 12 times. Elamai, Rashi says he only bothered about what's going on in the second one of the Nasiim, because the second one is where it should be cut and paste. And Rashi says that there's a kavona in each one. Last year we spoke about it, that there's a kavona klolis and a kavona protis from each one of the Shvot. We're just going to go a little nakuda today. What's the first? It's the first kavana has to do with Odom Rishon and Noach. Come on, what's Odom Rishon angefallen? Like Ayov and the Sukkah rein. Mele ayelech parech et keneged Avram, ayelech et keneged Yitzchak, keves et keneged Yaakov, Ziris v'lachapra machis Yosef, Boker Shnayim, Elam Chamisha, Matudim Chamisha is keneged Moshe v'Aaron, Sholem ben Yisrael avim Shabashamayim. And then Shloisha Minim Keneged Kohenim Vinum Yisraelim, Torah Nevim Ksuvim. That's all nice. That's all nice. Odom Rishon. Who cares about Odom Rishon? Who cares about Odom Rishon? Odom Rishon. You know, like they make a joke. When the Zayde, they told us Yaakov Yosef, sie gewinnen euch, sie gewinnen Michel Zlotchever, und der Zayde Mr. Shelach. Come on. Who's Mr. Shelach? That I get found Odom Rishon. Who cares about Odom Rishon? Rashi says, Karas Kesef Minyanos Yosef Begematria Tov Kuf Lamed 930. Keneged Shnoiz Shel Odom Rishon Shloish Meim Mishkol Hashem Hemitelz L'Kim Oilam and Kuf Lamed Shana Oya. Miserik Echot is Hashem Noach. Hemitelz has been Tov Kuf for 500 years. What's going on over here? Well, who cares about Odom Rishon and Noach? Later, already we understand. It's starting with the Kneged the Torah, Gaseres Hadibris, Taryag Mitzvahs, Avram Yitzchak Yaakov, Yosef, Moshe Aaron. Okay. Bekitzer. A question. What's kasha? That be saying shot. The Eibusha said to Odom Rishon, don't eat from the Eitz Hadas. V'yom acholcha mimenu mois tumas. Thomas, the day you eat, you're going to die. He didn't die that day. All the Meforshim asked. And Ramban says, the Eibusha didn't say he's going to die. But you're going to get chayev misa. And other Meforshim say the same thing, like the Targum Yonasson's Tia chayev katoil. Okay. That's not Rashi. That doesn't go well in Pshat. It should have said, B'yoim means on that day. The Medrash says, Yom Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu Elef Shana. Yeah, Kiyamet. Like that joke that everyone likes to say. There was a guy came to the Rabbanu Shalom. He said, all the money for you is like a nickel. Go $1 billion like the nickel. And 1,000 years is like a day. Give me one nickel loan for one day. And he hears a voice from heaven and says, Yankel, I'll come back tomorrow. Oh. so the Medrash says that you're only going to live 1,000 years. You're only going to live one day. 1,000 years. Someone tells you that you're a bad boy, you'll live 1,000 years, and he only lived 930 because 70 years he gave to David the mother. Again, this doesn't go in Pshat. A yom means a day. A day, finished. 24 hours a day. A yom doesn't mean, if I tell you, can I please take a loan from you? I'll give it back to you tomorrow. I can't say, no, I meant 1,000 years.
Can't forget about it.
It's exactly. In Pshat, in Medrash, it goes well, but in Pshat, it doesn't go. So in Pshat, why is it that the Eibusha says to Adam Rishon, the day you're going to eat from the fruit, you're going to die. He didn't die. So the Rebbe says the Pshat is like this. Pshat. When he found out that he ate, so he realized he was naked and he hid in the bushes. But Rashi says that it wasn't Stam that he was hiding. The Rashi says that they had one mitzvah, not to eat from the Eitz Hadas, and they became naked from the mitzvah. Mitzvah is like a lavush, and the one mitzvah they didn't do that. So they were ashamed, not because they were physically undressed, they were ashamed because they had one mitzvah and they lost the one mitzvah. So they felt bad about it. So really, a little bit they did tshuva. The truth is, the question is, when the Eibusha says, "Why did you eat the fruit?" He said, "Isha asher nasate imodi hi nosna li ve'oichel." Rashi says, "Kan kofar betoiva." The Eibusha gave him a wife, and he says it's her fault. So, in a way, you could say like this: that Rebbe says, you don't have to read it in a cynical way.
No, it's just our fault. This is your fault.
Vidiyukah, says the Rebbe. You could say that they said to the Eibishter, please forgive me. Look, Isha Shem Nasata, you gave me. So B'meila, and he could have said it with a lom de seltzer. If he wanted, he could have brought the Tosfos and Gittin in the Bigdaf Beis, Amid Beis, that Eidechad Nemen Bisurim, we learn from the fact that a person's allowed to eat in his own kitchen. How do you know it's kosher? Because your wife told you it's kosher. And then she comes back after she said, I went to the mikveh. How do you know she really went to the mikveh? You trust her. So we trust she's an Eid Echad. She's an Eid Echad and she's Namen Bisurim. And from this we learned that Eid Echad, Namen Bisurim. So Chava, was, who is the Moras Machpelah? Chava, with Adam Rishon. And the Gemara says in Baba Basra that the Sarah was very beautiful. She must have been physically beautiful because if the Mitzrayim and Pshuta Shemikra, Erva Sa'oret said that she's so beautiful, obviously Begashmi is beautiful. Well, we believe that she was Begashmi is beautiful because also the Ruchni that her neshama was shining through her goof, was shining through her skin, that the chain that she had was also a Ruchni, but obviously
Abraham Avinu said.
Right, but she had also chain, Begashmi, because the Mitzrayim said that, and obviously Chava also. So she must have been, the Gemara says that Pnei Mois were less than Pnei Chava. Chava was beautiful. So she was from Yitzir Kappa, she was Achas Mitzaloisa, Yitzir Kappa Shlakadosh Baruch. So he said, you gave me the woman, so she came in your shlichus. But you don't have to read it cynical. You could read it cynical. It's your fault. Well, you could read it that he tried to make excuse. But the fact that he tried to excuse himself is showing that he wanted to do tshuva and he was looking for an excuse. And Chava also had an excuse. She said, I didn't hear from the Eibusha directly, and the Nochash came, and Hanochash Esiyani, the Nochash drained me the cup. So each one had an excuse, but you don't have to say that excuse was trying to shift the blame. They were trying to do tshuva, and they found an excuse, so they were humbled. So they do tshuva. There's gedolish koicha tshuva. So understand that when the Torah said that if he'll eat, he'll die. If he didn't do tshuva that day, he would have died. Him and Chava would have died that day.
Give 1,000 years of tshuva.
And he did, because he did. Yeah, that's the koicha tshuva. Because he did tshuva, he ended up living another 930 years. So you hear the koyach of tshuva.
And he continued the whole war. Because he didn't die.
Mm-hmm.
Then his kids came in our days.
You see Godel koyach shel tshuva. You see the power of tshuva. When they built the Mishkan and they made a Mizbeach. And the whole idea of the Mizbeach is koyach shel tshuva. So there's a remez in the idea of shnois of shel Adam Rishon. He should have died in one day. He should have died in a day. The Eibusha said, in one day he should have died. Elamai, he felt bad, and he found an excuse, but it was tshuva. He did tshuva, and that's why he lived. So you see, koicha shel tshuva is unbelievable. You see, koicha shel tshuva. You see, the power of tshuva is unbelievable. We're coming now. We're at the end of Shavuos. We're in the middle of Chodesh Ashlishi, which was also the Yortzeit, the Baal Shem Tov. There is one of the stories that I brought about the Baal Shem Tov, that the Baal Shem Tov once told his Talmidim, we're going to travel. And the Baal Shem Tov had this thing that he would tell the wagon driver and then the horses had kvitzas haderech. They pressed the button for the kvitzas haderech machine, and they went. And they landed in a place, and in the morning, and they came into a courtyard. Seems like a rich person. And the Baal Shem Tov says, could we come in a little bit? He said, there's Achnat Azorchim in the town. If you're Darshonim, you can go to the Parnas Hayir. Baal Shem Tov made believe he did. He said, well, you're not a Jew. We can't come stay in your house a few hours. Okay, fine. Come in my house. And the Baal Shem Tov used to smoke, not a cigar. He used to smoke a pipe. A pipe. You remember the people used. There is a professor that teaches over here in Turo. He comes Amol in basement. Mr. Silman.
Come in the morning with the
No, when he comes at night sometimes.
Sit here with the
Smells good. You can smell the whole. Oh, it's.
And Daniel based on English, they said that we was part of the.
Who knows? You want to be hooked up. So the Baal Shem Tov had a style. He used to go with a pipe, and he used to put in, the stuff, tabak, and he used to put in. So you have to light it. So they didn't have a lighter. So he walked into the kitchen, and it was a job. You have to take a tzevet, and you have to take a plier, take a little piece of coal and light it. And it's a job. And there was a girl, a woman in the kitchen. So he asked her, "Could you do me a favor and light my pipe?" So she said, "Yeah." And then the Baal Shem Tov says, "Thank you." She lit the pipe for him. He says, "Thank you." He says, "You don't recognize me?" She says, "No." He says, "I'm your uncle. I'm your uncle from Mezhebush." She said, "Yeah, my uncle." He says, "Yeah, your uncle." She says, I'm miserable over here." She said her husband died, and the father-in-law is very rich, and he decided that she's going to marry his nephew, and she's not interested. So the Baal Shem Tov said to her, "No, come with me to Mezhebush." The father-in-law of her deceased husband, the owner of the house. This girl was in the house because that was her father-in-law's house.
Oh, he was going to marry another nothing.
He was to marry off. He wanted to keep her in the family, and she's not interested. So the Baal Shem Tov said, "Oh, you're not interested? Come with me. I have a good shidduch for you. I have a perfect shidduch for you. Just pack your bags. Come with me." So she goes to her room and she starts packing her bags. And the rich man sees she's packing her bags.
What are you doing?
She's my uncle. I'm going with my uncle. So he calls to the Baal Shem Tov. He's angry. "Are you crazy?" And he says, "You see the jewelry she's wearing? It's a very expensive jewelry. I bought it for my son. And not that she should take all this jewelry and go away." The Baal Shem Tov said, "Look, if you're worried about the jewelry, I'm going to send it back to you. You're going to get it UPS. But if you're worried about another Jew, let her go." He said, "In 2 hours exactly from when I leave, you're going to see there's going to come here one of the noblemen that live around here are going to come here with soldiers, and they're going to come to take her because her husband died. You don't know. You think she's a very sweet girl, but unfortunately, she became very friendly with a whole bunch of goyim, and one of the goyim really loves her, and they agreed they're going to get married. And she already agreed that the day she's gonna get picked up, she's gonna b'shmad, because it's how could he marry a Jewish girl? So she said, big deal. She'll be mishtamed, she'll shmad, and then she'll get married. So they're gonna shmad and get married all in one day. And there's nothing you could do about it. You'll see soldiers are gonna come here in 2 hours. What are you gonna do then? And what are you gonna do to your jewelry then? If you let her go with me, don't worry. I'll send you back the jewelry, and this way you did a mitzvah. Okay. Kachava. They went and the person came. This guy showed up with his soldiers, and the girl wasn't there, so he left. In the meantime, they get to measure. The Baal Shem Tov tells her that he has for her a terrific shidduch. She meets a guy, young guy, very rich, alamilas. Okay, she likes him, so they get engaged. In the meantime, she's living in the Baal Shem Tov's house. And she starts feeling bad about, she thinks the Baal Shem Tov thinks that she's doesn't know. And she sees the whole halachelech, and she starts finding out what this is all about, and she feels very bad. So before the chasana, she tells the Baal Shem Tov she wants to talk to him. And she tells him that really she sinned all kinds of terrible things. And she wants to ask how to do tshuva. Baal Shem Tov said, look, here's the deal. I'm not your uncle. He says, you have a grandfather who was a big tzaddik. And he came from Olam Ha'elyon to tell me, what's going on. And he's very worried that his granddaughter is going to be shmad and going to get married to a goy. And he asked me to save you. And he was a big tzaddik, and there's a lot of big schusim. And he couldn't bear the pain that he'll have a granddaughter that'll be shmad and marry a goy. So he came to me, and that's why I did it. But if you want to do tshuva, you have to do tshuva. So she said, yeah, she wants to do tshuva. So I said, okay, look, if you want to do tshuva, number one, here's a Ziploc bag. All the jewelry goes here. We're sending it UPS to your old father-in-law, because why should he lose the jewelry? It's he gave it to you to marry his son, his nephew, not you go marry a goy. And then you're going to break the shidduch with this person that you like. And you're gonna marry a poor man, and you're going to be a baker your whole life, because poor people, what can they do? So you'll be a baker. And you'll sell in the marketplace, you'll sell bread. And that will make you a full Baal Tshuva. She broke the shidduch. She married a poor baker. She used to help him bake. And she used to bring the breads to the marketplace and sell it. And Meshech Zman, she became a tzitkonis gemura. She became a tzaddikus. She became a full tzaddikus. The Baal Shem Tov said that they told her that her grandfather came to dream to say thank you, that he's very happy, very pleased with his granddaughter. So that's the story. Godel Koicha Shel Tshuva is an unbelievable thing. Adam Rishon was told, and one day he'll die. He would have died, but he didn't even do the highest level of tshuva. He found an excuse, this or that, but he did tshuva. He felt what he did was wrong, and he found an excuse, and he excused himself to the Eibishter, and therefore he lived to another 930 years.
Yes, we can have 2,000.
If it wouldn't make the Aver, it wouldn't be there. The Aver was make the whole concept of that.
Right? But once he did the Aveda, he was told he'll die in a day. And he didn't do the half.
בדי של תתה, לא שלנו.
כן, כן.
בגלל זה הוא גם סיים די שלם, הוא אמר לו באותו יום, לא תסיים די.
כן, כן. זה לפי המדרש. זה לפי... Yeah. Sometimes you think you have to have a big target. People, the emphasis that tshuva has a lot of levels to it. You have tshuva in Tanya, you have There's
So
many.
it's not available before, according to time.
Right, according to time.
Right.
Right. Right. But then you have such a thing as tshuva, which is on the lowest level. You have tshuva that are on the lowest level. It's not, this guy was finding excuses. Machna shtois. He was about tshuva. So now, when we were talking about remes in the korbanos that the Nessim were bringing, so they were talking about the mile of the Mizbeach. So they started, so Taka later they were talking about Avram and Yitzchok and Yaakov and Mechiros Shel Yosef and Moshe and Aaron. And, but they went back. Also by Adam Rishon, there was the idea of tshuva. And also by Noach.
So Adam was the first Baal Tshuva.
Well, Adam was the first Baal Tshuva, yeah. Adam was about tshuva. Noach, he himself was not, it was a little different. Noach, the pshat is that he brought korbanos on the Mizbeach. It was a union of Reach Nechoyach. He himself was not about tshuva. He never sinned. He was Taka Tzadik. He never sinned. Alamai, he brought korbanos on the Mizbeach. Noach is a little different. The emes is that there's a Mizbeach. And he may, and he was mispal for the Vel. But Adam Rishon is Pashut, he's about tshuva. Okay? So, basement that tshuva is an unbelievable thing. That's the first emes. We don't have to think about the highest dagas of tshuva. We have simple dagas of tshuva zeichet.
Also, the Kiaras Kesef was on next of Mixafi, or the Mauritian. The people to do the tshuva. That's that.
Okay.
Actually bring the remes.
Right. You know what? We have 15 minutes. So I want to talk about something from the Zohar. Rebbe had a big chayas in the Zohar, and there's something in this week's parsha in the Zohar that has a shaykhs to Maimer we learned. I didn't bring a copy of it. No. If you remember, we learned the Maimer, and there's a Maimer Chazal that the loy over b'shlam shalmata ad shalmayla ad shalmayla shalmata. There is Avram Fried made a beautiful song from it, and it's a beautiful Vedic song. The thing is like this. What does the Gemara say? Loy over b'yishlayim shel mayla ad she'ove b'yishlayim shel mata. The Zohar says in this week's parsha the same thing, but two differences. Nishba Kodesh Baruch Hu, the Eibishter made it as a shvua. Shaloi Yovoi B'Shalayim Shel Ma'ila Ad Sheyovoi Yisrael B'Shalayim Shel Mata. The Rebbe talks about, the Rebbe's father has the Yukim in the Kabbalah, but the Rebbe says in Pshat that there's a Medrash Chazal in the Gemara and the Zohar, and they're different. Why is it different? And the Rebbe said a beautiful word that could go in two ways. That the Rebbe's word was like this. The Gemara says that there's two ways that you can go to Yerushalayim. One is Zochu, Loi Zochu. Zochu, if the Yidden was Zoche, they're going to be going with the white clouds, Manan Shmaya. Loi Zochu, they'll be coming down Avenue J with a Chamoir. Oni v'rochav al Chamoir. There'll be a beggar and a Chamoir. So if the Yidden are Zoche, so obviously the Eibush is not going to go into Yerushalayim Shalamayla until the Yidden first go into Yerushalayim Shalamata. But what's if Loi Zochu? They're not Zoicha, so why should you wait for them? Loi Zochu, whatever. Okay, listen. I promised Avram Yitzchak they'll bring you whatever. So therefore, Nishba, the Eibishter made a Shavua. So the Zohar is talking on a higher level. The Gemara is talking in the Medrash, the Gemara in a lower level. The Yidden is a lower level. It means we don't need a Shavua. Why would we need a Shavua? Why do you need a Shavua? If you're going to do it anyway, you don't need a shvuah to say I'm going to eat breakfast, lunch, and supper Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. When you're hungry, you eat. But there's something that you're scared you're not going to do. Is like nishboin l'kaimas mitzvahs, because maybe he's not going to do it. So he makes a shvuah. I'm going to do it. Like the idea of krisos bris, that even though it doesn't make sense, we should be friends anymore. We're going to be friends forever and ever. And we make a krisos bris and we make a shvuah. So the same thing here. If the Yidden zachu, so then obviously the Eibishter loves the Yidden. And he's not going to go into Yerushalayim Shalamayla, Achiyab, Yerushalayim Shalamata. But here, when those Loi Zachu, so why should the Eibishter wait for the Yidden? So therefore, they made a Shvuah. Nishba Kodesh Baruch Hu. The Eibishter made a Shvuah. And it has to go, and Lamata Mata. Achiyab Yisrael, Yerushalayim Shalamata. And therefore the Eibishter made a shvua. That's one thing. One thing that Rebbe says. Another thing is, what is Yerushalayim Shel Ma'ala? What's Yerushalayim Shel Mata? So, Bachlal, what's Yerushalayim? What does Yerushalayim mean? What does the word Yerushalayim mean? I'll say that there were two names for the city. Avram Avinu called it Hashem Yireh, and Malki Tzedek Melech Sholem. Melech Sholem. Sorry, Malki Tzedek. Rashi says the Shem ben Noach. So Shem ben Noach called the city Sholem. So the Eibishter said, what should I call the city? Should I call the city Yireh or Sholem? The Eibishter said, we're going to smash the two names together and we're going to make it one name. Yerushalayim. Yireh and Sholem. That there's going to be the Shleimus. You see, Avram Avinu saw Yireh. He saw the awe of the Eibishter. And Shem ben Noach saw Shleimus. The Eibishter said, I'm going to make Shleimus Yireh. I'll put them together. Yireh and Sholem, Yerushalayim. Huh? Isn't it nice? Yerushalayim is really, it's one.
Yerushalayim.
Yeah, Yerushalayim. You're supposed to write it without a yud, by the way. The way Yerushalayim, most people write Yerushalayim, they put a yud.
Yerushalmi.
Most people write it with a yud.
But it's not supposed to.
It's not supposed to be. Yeah, it's Sholem. It's Sholem. It's Yiru Sholem.
Yerushalayim.
Yeah.
So it's not Yerushalayim. It's Yerushalayim.
Yeah. It was whatever. I was reading once about the Briskerov that he printed something, or they printed his name, and they wrote Yerushalayim this way, the fake way. And he wouldn't allow. He said they should do Gniza again. That's not according to Tanakh. Yerushalayim has to be spelled without. Yeah, it's Yiru Sholem without the Yud. Should be going to reprint it.
But now everybody writes with you.
I know, because it became the modern Hebrew. But really, why? Because what's the Yud there for? It's Yiru Sholem. So the Meforshim say.
It doesn't say the word Yerushalayim. It's in Tanakh million times.
No, the Meforshim answer. But the Bapashtas is because the Eibishter didn't want it, they should know yet. That the Eibishter said.
Yitzchak Avinu was not a creator. This is
everyone asked the Shaila.
All emotion was creation. This place.
Right.
I
think there's one place in the Yamin where it's written.
Right, but we always go Basaroiv. Whenever there's a Shaila, how, right.
But like a good question, like you would write with that.
You're saying how bad could it be?
You would write it again.
It would be possible.
I'm not so sure. Maybe.
That's what the Poskim hold. The Poskim hold.
And not only that, but you go according to what's accepted in society.
That's true also. I'm saying with the absence of if it's accepted in society, and that's what if you would just look at Tanakh, you go with the Roy. So the Rebbe says like this: it's two ways of looking Yerushalayim Shel Mata, Yerushalayim Shel Ma'ala. One is Begashmius. The Rebbe spoke about it at that time, such Akmas Nefesh. The Rebbe said, how could we want the Eibishter should go into Yerushalayim Shel Ma'ala? The Eibishter makes miracles, indeed, get Yerushalayim. And then they say, the Arabs can live here, the Muslims can live here, we're going to give them sewage, water, electricity, public school, all the good and we're going to beg them to stay. The Eibishter says, how do you want me to? I'm not going to go into Yerushalayim Shel Ma'ala ad sheyova Yisrael be Yerushalayim Shel Mata. Yeah. Not the Muslims, not the Notzirim Rachmana Litzlan. The Eibishter says, Nishba Kodesh Baruch Hu Shelo Yove B'Shalayim Shel Ma'ala Ad Sheyove Yisrael B'Shalayim Shel Mata. So how do you, besides the Issa the Rebbe said, like Techonim, Pikuach Nefesh, and how do you let it? Ayid learns the Gemara, learns the Medrash. How do you let the Arabs sit there How do you let the Arabs sit there? The Eibusha says that it has to be that you can't see Yisrael. It's an unbelievable thing. Pshat. Read the Gemara and Tainus. Read the Zoya.
And I have Shmuel Ashkenazi giving speeches. We should tell them to
Show him the Sichot. It's a beautiful Sichot. The Rebbe said it with a lot of.
Yeah. I sent it to
The Rebbe said it. It's. I'll show it to you later. I'll give you a copy of it.
After pointing out, he will do it. He will not do
that. The Yerushalayim, that the Gemara says and the Zoya says Nishba Kadosh Baruch Hu, the Yisrael has to be honest. You can't leave the Arabs there.
But
so that's one shot.
No goy on any land in Yerushalayim.
Well, not allowed to. That's anyway not allowed to. Lo techonim. You're not allowed to give them chaniya b'karka. It's also in
Yerushalayim or in
Whole Eretz Yisrael.
Whole Eretz
Yisrael. Huh?
This is the also.
Yeah, you're not allowed to give them chaniya b'karka. But Yerushalayim, the Rebbe was moisef. This word. The Eibusha said lo yovei. Because sometimes you can't give them chaniyah, but you can rent to them. You're allowed to give them sometimes a little bit something. But Yerushalayim, can't let any goyim in Yerushalayim. So that's one pshat. And that's the pshat. The Rajba, the Ritva, all the Meforshim say that. They say, Bishlam Shalmayla Mechuvin K'deg Hashem Shalmata, because it's the Rebbe's capital this year. We learned a little bit about Hashgacha Pratis, we were learning a Maimer before Pesach, and we ended up with this was the Maimer, the second Maimer in Mekutei Torah, a long Maimer Pikudei. And so that's one pshat. But there's another pshat, which is the pshat we learned in the Maimer, that Yishleim Shalmayl, Yishleim Shamato is Malchus and Bina. It's talking about there's two types of Yida, Shleimus HaYida. There's the Yida that comes from Alma Disgalgia, and there's the Yida that comes from Alma Diskasya. Similar to Yira Tito and Yira Eloah. The Yira of Alma Disgalgia, we spoke about when the Maimer, is that when a person sees the whole world, how beautiful the world is, and the highest of the world is the Eibishter. So he has from that awe of the Eibishter, he has Yira, and Shleimus Yira. That's from Malchus. But then there's Alma Diskasya, the hidden world, which we don't know what he is, but we know what he's not. We know what infinite means. How do you define what infinite? We know that infinite is not finite. We don't. Ein Sof. We don't know what Ein Sof. We don't know how to explain Ein Sof. But we say that you know what Sof is. This is not Sof. You know what Chochmah of a human being is. The Rambam says Chochmah Kadosh Baruch Hu lo machshavos machshavos. It's not that Navi can't say what the Eibush says machshava is because it's we can't explain it. B'idiyas achiyuv. We can only say b'idiyas ashlila. We could say. Loi machshavos says the Navi machshavos seifcha. Look, the Rambam says the Eibusha's chokhmah is not like the chokhmah of a human being. So that is the higher level. That's the level of not malchus. That's the level of bina alma diskasya. And that's a pshat that in order for you to be zoicher to have Yerushalayim shel Milo, a yid has to also have Yerushalayim shel Mata. The Rebbe connects it to the two. And the Gemara is talking about the Gashmis, the city of Yerushalayim. You can't have Arabs there. You can't have Rachmal Tzam Notzerim and put your head in the sand. The Eibishter wants that this city should be the capital for the Yiddish people. It has to be only Yidden there. Kohanim, I mean, traditionally, who lived in Yerushalayim? The Kohanim. Because the Kohanim controlled the city. I mean, that was the city of the Kohanim. But the bottom line is, Goyim cannot be there. It has to be. And when the Yidden do that, the Eibishter says, when the Yidden, and then the Eibishter will go into Yerushalayim, there'll be the Yichud of Yerushalayim Shalmayla. This Kloim, exactly. There's what you're allowed to have in the walls of the Azora, and what you have in the walls of the Arabayas, and you have walls of Yerushalayim. So the Kedusha was unbelievable. So that's one thing. And that's what the Gemara is talking about. The Zohar is talking about a Hecher. The Zohar is talking about when the Yidden themselves, in order to be Zoicha to the higher level of Yiddishamayim, they have to first have the lower level of Yiddishamayim. And what it means on a simple level is, sometimes there's like, but there's the simple level of Yiddishamayim, which is, the Eibishter says, you have to guard your ears, you have to guard your eyes, you have to guard your nose, your tongue, you have to, the Kabbalah Sel Malchus Shamayim, I'm not in the mood, and I'm not interested, and I don't want it, but Lapoil, I'm a Yid, and that's, sort of my Yerushalayim Shalmata, because the Eibusha told me this is what I have to do. I'm doing it. And with that, I'm Zoicha to go into Yerushalayim Shalmayla. So there's the Gemara is talking about more like the Rishonim. They're talking about the Yishlam Shalmata, Yishlam Shalmaya. The Gashmi is the Yishlam. It's Mechuvin Keneged the Ruchn is the Yishlam. The Zohar is talking about the two dagas in Yiddish Shemayim, and that's for a Yid. We're talking about for the Yid, that in order for Yid to go into higher dag of Yiddish Shemayim, first has to experience Poshet, the lower level of Kabbalah Zel Malchus Shemayim. Baby shall helfen at this unbelievable day, which is the full moon of Chodesh HaShlishi, that every one of us, we should go into Yerushalayim Shalmata, Yerushalayim Shalmaila. The Gashmi is the Eibishter should see that it should be the Yikonsi Yisrael, and the Gashmi is the Yerushalayim Shalmata, Revius Mashiach Tzidkein.
Amen. Amen. Shkayach.
Then, if they were not able to do it, they planned the entire Eretz Yisrael to do it for a month. It's not something that passed away last month.
They couldn't do it?
Couldn't do it. And it says something happens, they know already something can happen. It's an interesting concept. They said they checked it out and so they preview.
Yeah, they can show me. I don't know.
They want to see what it says.
Hey, the expression, nice to say,